Twisters.
Yeah.
Wow, we finally got a sequel to Twister, although it's a standalone, doesn't really tie into the first one.
Yeah, this is a legacy sequel that could have used a little bit more legacy.
Normally, we'll look at a legacy sequel and just rip on the fact that it leans too heavily on its predecessor.
We can seem a little hypocritical right now, but this movie could have benefited from some member berries.
I wouldn't have minded a few member berries.
The problem is it's a sequel to Twister, and there's just like one thing basically that links it to the original, but
which we'll get into.
They don't mention anything from the original, which was just a little annoying.
Kind of a missed opportunity to at least just tie it to the first one a little bit.
Yeah, especially, you kind of think, oh, she's probably Helen Hunt's daughter. Now, would that have been lame and on the nose? Yeah, perhaps, I don't know. But there's that scene where
I wouldn't have minded it.
She refers to her mom, and then she goes home, and there even is this shot where she walks in the door, and you see the picture of her and her family there, her mom and her, and the camera dollies. That'd have been awesome if it was Helen Hunt and her.
And Bill Paxton on the wall.
Yeah, Bill Paxton. Yeah, exactly. Remember Dad? Well, Dad had this thing just like me where he can sense the tornadoes, whatever.
Yeah, the weather sense thing.
Yeah.
So they could have passed it along because her character, our lead, does have that kind of
right. You see, you didn't need
extra sense about storms.
Moisture levels are just right and lots of cape.
What else are you seeing?
You don't need to dwell in it, but just that would be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And since it's supposed to be a sequel.
Yeah, we didn't get any of that. Instead, we got our new protagonist, Miss Kate.
Kate.
So the movie opens with her and her group of friends. I guess they're like college age.
Her motley crew.
Her motley crew, who are just very, very, very positive, vibey people.
Yeah. Positive vibes.
Positive vibes all over the beginning of that movie. Kind of to the point where I was really annoyed when that movie started. I was like, please don't let these
are the fucks we're going to be following for the duration.
I do not want to follow these people for this entire film.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we don't have to, because they all get themselves killed.
Yes.
And it's great.
Even to a guy like me, that's cold.
The inciting incident is her friends getting fucking killed. And then
it's us witnessing her trauma, just like we witnessed Helen Hunt's trauma in the beginning of Twister, where her father dies.
This one subverts, though, by having it be her friends.
And her boyfriend.
Yes,
yeah,
of course.
So this is where we get basically our only reference to the original, where they're working with a very old Dorothy system.
Yes.
The weather detection.
This one was Dorothy 5 or 6 or something?
Yeah, because I think there were 4 in the original. My first thought was well, did they ever advance with this? Because the whole point of the first movie is that they come up with this new weather system that allows them to detect tornadoes sooner.
To give people better warnings.
Right.
Yeah.
But the way this movie plays out, it's you'd think that never happened because tornadoes kind of just pop up. And
it didn't happen, or it didn't work. And it's
or it didn't work, right.
It's okay, well, maybe it didn't work.
They don't explain it.
Yeah, that would be a cool explanation.
It would have been nice. It would have been nice.
But yeah, I mean, we get nothing. So it's just Dorothy, it's a thing, but nothing came about it.
She's trying to do something entirely different. She's not just trying to predict the weather or come up with a better system to detect them. She wants to try and actually dissipate a tornado.
Yes, she wants to stop
sending up some kind of polymers or something into it. They disrupt whatever the tornado's doing, and it just ends the tornado.
Yeah.
Very advanced stuff. But this is her thesis or something. She's working on it for college. Whatever. So they try to do it, but their little science experiment, which is I guess only rated for up to a EF1 tornado, fails horribly because they encounter an F5, and it ends up killing half the group.
Yeah.
Only her friend Javi survives.
The guy, the simp who gets friend zoned.
Yes. Anyway, we jump 5 years into the future, and now she's left Oklahoma.
She's working in New York.
She's a little weather prodigy. She can just look at screens and be like, that's a storm.
Yeah.
She's there dealing with her shit, and Javi comes out of the blue, and he's like, hey, I've got all this prototype military technology, which if we surround a tornado, we can detect the paths of the. Basically, it sounds like the same shit the Dorothy system was trying to do.
It's this movie's Dorothy.
Yeah, it's this movie's Dorothy. Totally different than what she was trying to do in the beginning.
Yeah.
That's detection shit. She was actually trying to disrupt a tornado.
Right. So this one they're gonna map the tornado.
They're gonna map it 3D map it from the outside.
Which is completely fucking stupid, and we'll get into that.
Yeah. He shows up. And he's trying to convince her, come back to Oklahoma with me. I got corporate funding now. We can, save some lives, whatever. She's like, no. And then she changes her mind, and she comes to Oklahoma.
We get the new team that she's working on.
We get the new
with.
team she's working with, Storm Parr or something.
It's like a.
It's like Carrie Elwes' team.
Well,
from the
they
first
they dress like they're fucking local cable guys.
Yeah, they all have the same color trucks.
They dress
and,
like local ISPs, you know, just like driving around like they're gonna go door to door and like, oh, we want to upgrade
yeah, with
your
their
internet
clipboards
service?
and white hats and everything.
And their fucking polo shirts and shit.
Very formal.
The device that they're using is a 3D rendering device where you have to set up 3 points and then it scans the tornado and it gives them like all the readings that they need.
Yeah.
Obviously that's bullshit though because a fucking tornado moves. Yeah.
which they immediately run into
Yes.
this issue
So
where they're trying to set it up.
He's explaining to her how it works and then I'm like thinking, yeah, but it's gonna fucking move.
Yeah, so as
And
soon
then
as it moves, your 3-point system doesn't work anymore.
And that's literally what happens. Not only did it move,
Right
but it
the
also
first
sucks
time
up
they-
one of them.
Yeah, it destroys one of them.
So-
like as soon as they try it out, it's like one of them gets blown away.
So the
It's like,
first
okay.
the first one, I always had an issue with the first one because kind of like this situation, I'm like, yeah, Dorothy, that's a cool concept, and it is, but you guys need to weigh it down because the tornado's just gonna fucking
Just fling 'em all over the place.
And that's what
Yeah.
happens in the first
Yeah.
one is like they realize, oh, we need to weigh it down. It's like, yeah, no shit. But that being said, aside from that being annoying in the first one, it's still a cool concept, like having this canister with like all the
Yeah.
sensors open up and then go up and then give all the readings.
Before they actually go out and chase their first tornado, they meet up at kind of a rally point where all these storm chaser groups meet up. And that's
Yeah.
when we get introduced to our other main protagonist of the film, Mr. Tyler Owens.
Tyler Owens.
Tyler Owens.
You know he's a douche because his name is Tyler.
Yeah, Glenn Powell, who, I'm sorry, but I'm a Glenn Powell fan.
No, I like
But-
him. This is kind of what I said in our Hitman review.
Yeah.
I can't unsee him being like douchey. You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
But this is the perfect
But
role.
this is kind of like a mix of him being douchey and charming.
Yeah, well, we'll get more into that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
at first he's like,
Yeah, he comes off straight douche.
Yeah.
For me, the movie really starts when he shows
I
up.
completely agree. Like you're waiting for him to show up.
Because up to that point, like the film has like a very serious tone.
there's no energy in
There's
it.
no energy to it,
Yeah.
despite the opening is like, with the whole tornado thing and all that shit, and it's good.
No, it's a cool spectacle,
It's
but
a
there's
spectacle,
no energy.
but there's no energy
Yeah.
in terms of character. Once he shows up, then you feel like, okay, now there's some energy injected into this. And
Yeah.
as soon as he like sees Kate, he starts putting the moves on her.
Right.
He's into her.
Yeah,
trying
you
to
can.
figure.
Yeah, which is cool. A couple of things about him. First of all, him and Kate, they have very good chemistry together.
They did have good chemistry.
That's, I think, one of the most successful things about the movie is highlighting their attraction towards each other. Well, not really an attraction from her end at first, obviously.
Right, yeah, because she's
he's
very
kind of
closed
pursuing
off.
her. Yeah, and
she
he's
starts off
pursuing
as
her.
this very bubbly, like in the beginning, she's
Yes.
very bubbly, very outgoing, and then after she goes through the trauma, she kind of shuts down.
She's
and
very
becomes
stoic
She's
and
very
shut
stoic,
shut
very-
off, yeah.
But they give a reason for why she's like that.
Oh, yeah.
She isn't just like that.
Yeah, of course.
So,
I mean, it's fine.
it
and
works.
and I like the fact that he had to like pursue her. You know what I mean?
Yes,
That,
and he keeps at it, and he
keeps at
eventually
it,
kind
yeah.
of breaks her down a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, then she realizes that there's more to him. And like just from the trailer and also from when he's first introduced, you get the sense that he's sort of the new Carrie Elwes character from the original. Kind of like the dick.
Kind of.
the dick. Or just a bigger version of that. A more
Yeah,
prominent version
yeah,
of
the
that.
YouTube version.
But, well, yeah. So a modern day version of that. But like,
Yeah.
he's got his crew and they're like the antagonist crew.
Yeah.
Compared to the one that Kate's on. But then, like, the movie does something a little interesting, I guess. As the movie goes on, it sort of flips that. You realize that Kate is actually on the Carrie Elwes side.
Yeah,
And
she's on Storm Parr is kind of like the Carrie
Yes,
Elwes because you
and-
find out that they're backed by some.
Right. So,
Yeah.
hold on. So Tyler's crew, like, they're just a bunch of like misfit, like thrill-seeking thrill junkies. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like doing this for clicks and for views on
Yeah,
YouTube.
they all have their own little like skill set that they bring to it.
Right, but
kind of
but
hodgepodge.
They sell it like they're just kind of douchey and they're just there for attention, basically.
Yes.
But then, like, devastation hits, and then they go to a town that's been hit by a tornado, and then you realize that really what they're doing their YouTube channel for is to raise funding for relief for towns that are
Right, that's why
victimized
they're
by
selling their
tornadoes.
merch and shit,
So there's-
yeah.
yeah, exactly. So that's why they sell merch. That's what
the money goes towards.
He's a humanitarian.
Yes,
you know what I
yes,
mean?
Really a good guy. They're all really good people underneath, despite
Right,
them being like
right.
total dicks
Right.
up to this point.
So and then you see this the scene where where Kate sees him doing that. She's
Yeah.
just fucking like so wet in that part. You know what I mean?
I love him so much.
She sees Stormpar just being like, "Oh, we don't have time to help these people."
Yeah,
like, that kind of
exactly. Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
But like they're backed by this wealthy landowner who comes in and just like starts buying up land for pennies on the dollar of people who've just lost their homes.
Yeah, exactly.
And when she sees that, she's like, "Oh."
So the motivation, I guess, is like they're doing research so they can like figure out tornado devastation, so he can like get top dollar on land once the
Yeah, they kind of like introduce this angle to it.
Yeah.
And then once like Kate gets wise to it, they kind of just abandon it.
Yes.
So it
Yeah.
doesn't really pay off in any way later in the film, except like Javi just kind of like, he's like, "Oh, I'm done with these people, whatever." And it's just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
From that point, once Tyler comes in, they all start going out chasing storms, and he kind of realizes that she's got more intuition than she appears to. Like she thinks like, "Oh, we're gonna go chase these storms to the west," but she's really going to the
Right.
east, and he's like, "Wait, no, let's follow her."
He has intuition that she has intuition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you learn a little more about him, and you find out that he's actually got a background in meteorology and all this shit. But this is when now the film shifts into like, okay, every scene is like we're chasing bigger and bigger tornadoes trying to get our system to work, but something stops it from working. Kind of like how the original played out, where it's like they keep going after bigger and bigger tornadoes, but they keep failing with the Dorothy system. This kind of plays out in a similar way. You just have the dynamic now of Tyler and Kate being on opposite sides, and then how they butt heads and how Kate wins, and then Tyler beats them there, and then they kind of go back and forth for a while.
Which is entertaining.
Yeah, it's very entertaining. It definitely pays off in that like blockbuster sense of the spectacle, like you were saying, and the tornado sequences they look good.
No, the effects are actually very good, and like they're better than the original.
Yeah.
And like, yes, it's very easy to say, well, yeah, it's a
was
movie made in
96,
2024 as opposed to a movie made in 1996.
Doesn't really mean a whole lot.
No, it
these
doesn't really
days.
mean anything because, in my opinion, there are still scenes that hold up, like in the original Jurassic Park, much more than Jurassic World. I feel like when it comes to CGI, we've become very fucking lazy.
Yeah.
Or we haven't become. CGI has always just been like a lazy fucking tool. You know,
yeah.
if used properly, then it's great. But
Sure,
most
yeah.
people use it in a very lazy way.
Yeah.
The original did not. That being said, though, the new effects they're very solid.
Yeah.
It looks good. It's a good-looking film. Good-looking
Yes.
effects.
Yes.
One thing that I think is missing from the tornado sequences, and what's just kind of missing from the movie in general, this is the problem that I have with the movie ultimately. The original is not high art by any means. It's like not
No,
even
it's like the quintessential summer blockbuster.
yeah, exactly. It's a
disaster
summer
film.
blockbuster.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie. A lot of people love the movie. Like, I like Twister. I think Twister's a cool movie, but like, it was never my go-to favorite summer blockbuster movie. But I watched it a lot.
Well, you had a lot to choose from back then.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, like every summer there was another one.
My Jan de Bont film is Speed. I love, you know what I mean? Speed's fucking amazing.
Speed is a superior film.
Yes.
I still love Twister.
No, dude,
but
Speed
is like one of the best movies of the 90s.
I am not shitting on Twister, and in fact,
Oh,
that's,
no.
that's where I'm going with
I know
this.
where you're going.
I'm saying that regardless of it not being high art, the original Twister has fucking character.
That's no moon! It's a space station!
It feels like a fun summer blockbuster. It was made in the days where they shot like a teaser trailer just for the movie, you know, and like they would really build up the hype. That's when they used to do that with movies.
Yeah.
And when the movie came out, it delivered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It delivered on that initial teaser trailer's promise that this is just going to be like a cool, big spectacle summer blockbuster movie.
Yep.
But in that, there's just a character to it. And Jan de Bont, the director of the first one, each Twister encounter, he almost turned like the Twisters into monsters. Like you hear like
Yeah, they're all different. Like
they all have like their like here's the water twister and it had its own sound design. And it sounded like its own creature, its own thing. And then like here's the F5 one. Like there were like lion sound effects. Kind of in the sound design, things like that. One might think that sounds cheesy and lame. It really works for the film though, and regardless if you like that or not, it's still just added character to the movie.
Yeah, that was an issue that I had with this one as well. Like,
Yeah.
and as much as I liked the tornado sequences and I
Which
thought they
were-
were
yeah,
really cool,
yeah.
there was something missing in terms of the sheer force and sound design behind them.
Yeah.
They're like right on top of this thing. It should have sounded like a freight train going by.
Right, and the original one, it would have.
It would have,
You
right?
know?
But this one, it just felt like, yeah, they're getting bigger and bigger and more destructive, but they didn't really feel like their own separate sequences of
Yes.
like unique tornadoes, like you said.
Yeah.
Still good,
Yeah, still
but
good. Just
a little more attention to detail in the original.
It just lacked character. And another issue I had with this is the fucking music. Like the original one, Mark Mancina does the score. That score, it's very underrated. It's a good score. Again, not as good as his Speed score, but it's still very good.
Well,
there were memorable themes in it. Benjamin Wallfish, the composer of this movie, didn't use any of those, and it was kind of annoying. There's a composer nowadays, Lorne Balfe. He's doing a lot of the legacy sequels. So he's done Top Gun Maverick, the 2 newest Bad Boys movies, and he's also done Axel Foley. And in each one of those movies, he brings back the old themes, but like the score just was And again, that just goes with like the lack of energy and the lack of character that the original had. That's all I'm going with this. They should have had Lorne Balfe come in though and like modernize the Twister score. You know, like done a proper Twister sequel score.
They chose to really not bring anything from the first one into it, with the exception of that Dorothy mention
and the title.
Right? Like you could have brought a little of the music in.
You know, it's just cool to have a mention or two to what came before. That's kind of cool. You know, and like you could have done that with the music.
You don't need to see the original at all to enjoy this one. There's really nothing that ties it to the original. Once they start going out and they're chasing these tornadoes, Kate she's got to deal with this trauma now, because now she's back in the field and she hasn't been chasing tornadoes since she got her friends killed 5 years earlier. And she's like dealing with this shit now, and she fucks up and it like causes them to fail a few times. So she decides to go visit her mom, who she hasn't seen since she moved to New York. That's like you were saying earlier, like this would have been the perfect opportunity for she goes to visit her mom.
And it's Helen Hunt.
Yeah,
imagine if Helen Hunt stayed away from press, all publicity, her name's not on the poster.
That would have been cool.
And then it's her. You know what I mean? That would have been
cool. And then it would have made a little more sense about where her intuition came from, because her dad had it.
Yeah.
That would have been great. They didn't do any of that. So she goes back there and she's like going through her old stuff and, reliving the bad memories. And then our boy Tyler shows up. And that's when we learn a little bit more about his backstory and realize he's not a total dick. And then he figures out like, oh, you were working on this system to try and disrupt a tornado. Maybe I can help you do it, because he's actually fucking smart. He's not just some like YouTube guy going out there doing this. That's when they're like, let's go try it out. And they go find a fucking like baby tornado, and like I was actually enjoying that whole aspect of it. I was like, these two together are great.
It's
like,
just at this point, it's just the two of them.
Yeah,
that's it.
And I wasn't missing any other characters.
Same.
I wasn't missing a single person.
Yeah.
His idiot team, Javi, all those people. I was like, I'm not missing any of them. These two are great. Let's just follow them. And he starts bringing her back out of her traumatic shell or whatever. This is when we get into the nighttime tornado, when he takes her to the rodeo.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite sequence in the
best
whole film.
Nighttime tornadoes, man, those are the best.
They're way scarier than the daytime tornadoes, because that's when they did this in the original.
Yes,
when they go to the movie theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see the lightning flash.
It lights up the silhouette of the...
It lights up the silhouette of the cyclone, and it's just like, it's terrifying, because you can't see it, but you know it's there.
And you can hear it coming.
It starts ripping up the movie theaters. Yeah, so they do a very similar sequence where it's the two of them, and they're trying to get to safety, and they have to like do something similar that they did at the end of the original, where they find the pipes and they like have to hold on. That whole sequence, fantastic. And then that kind of leads into, like you said earlier, she kind of switches teams now.
Yeah.
She's now Team Tyler. You mentioned this right after we saw it. You start to get a little more into what's going on with Javi. They go to the town, and Kate and Javi are like walking around. They're like, oh, yeah, I'm glad we really showed up to help. You see them like, they didn't do, you don't see them do shit.
Like, oh, we have to help them. Okay, they get to the town. There's like fucking paramedics there, the firefighters there.
They don't see them do anything.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
what are they going to do?
And then he says like, well, I guess we really should be using our system to like help prevent this kind of shit. It's like, what have you been doing the whole time? Was it the point?
Well, no shit.
That was very forced. That was stupid.
Stupid.
So now she's done with Storm Power, and now she's with Glen Powell, and she wants to try and disrupt the tornado with a much bigger system than what she was doing at the beginning of the movie. This is when we get the the final encounter with the big F5. You gotta always end with an F5. And they hold up in a movie theater. This ending kind of annoyed me, where they all kind of take shelter in this theater, and then
this
Kate,
F5 is ripping through this small town.
it's ripping through this town.
And they take shelter in a theater, and then at the last moment, our hero Kate, by herself, takes the truck,
Steals his truck.
steals Tyler's truck. This is the second time she's stolen
A vehicle.
in
She
the
stole
film.
Javi's vehicle earlier, yeah.
She just steals all these, like her would-be boyfriend's trucks and vans, and they're cool with it. She steals the truck that's got the chemicals in the back of it to disrupt the tornado, and she does it all by herself. And then, like, while she's doing that, fucking Tyler is just like,
yeah, him and Javi are in the theater trying to help people.
yeah,
and
he's like watching her go, and he's kind of.
they basically don't help her at all in the climax of the film.
She does it all by herself.
She just drives the truck out there, puts the things in the ground, which is like, how does an F5 not rip that fucking truck straight out of the ground?
Yeah.
And then she releases the shit. She disrupts the tornado. She does it all herself, and it's like, okay, great. And then the men come walking out like, good job.
It's just a missed opportunity because you're watching this film, it's an ensemble cast, you're seeing these people work as a team, and so it'd be cool to see the team at the end take it down together.
Kind of like in the first one, when you see the two of them figure it out, and they're like, let's do this together, and you see them do it together. They drive the truck into the tornado, and it works, and they're like, oh shit, but now we're on foot. And they have to run, and they gotta hold on to the pipe, and they looking up at the phone. It's crazy ending, but they do it together.
As the audience, we like both the leads. We like their chemistry together.
Yes.
So it'd been nice to see them do it together at the end of the film.
That would have been nice. But they gave it all to her, you know. It's where we end up. And she's about to go back to New York, but he's like, no, I'm going to make a move on her. And Javi has to stay in the friend zone. He joins the YouTube team. She joins the YouTube team, and they become like a little tight group where they go out, I don't know. Are they disrupting tornadoes, or are they just chasing them? I don't know. They don't really get into. Now that she's got the technology to just drive a truck into a tornado and just end it.
Well, what's the logical conclusion? Like, yeah, okay, cool.
It doesn't really help you detect them.
Well, yeah, exactly. So do you just have these things like set up in every town in Oklahoma?
You have a truck with a trailer in the back with this stuff in it. Somebody has to get it and drive into the tornado.
Yeah, it'd have been more interesting if like, oh, cool, that's an interesting concept. Like, how are you going to implement this into practical usage?
Hey, listen, I think this movie's doing quite well. So, you know, maybe we'll get a Twister 3.
Twisters.
Well, they'll just remove the E and just put a 3 in there.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I will say this also. Yes, it's a new movie. Yes, we have new technology, but can we please stop with the fucking drones?
Oh my God, the fucking chick with the drone.
Anytime you crack out a drone, you lose me. I'm fucking done.
Dude,
First
and
of all,
we're not just like pulling this shit out of the blue. This comes from personal experience. I don't care if it's a fucking like winged drone. The second that thing got anywhere near 40 plus miles an hour, I think we'd get knocked out of the sky.
Yeah, that thing was made out of fucking styrofoam.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Shit,
I'm sorry, but these things cannot handle any kind of wind.
Yeah, guys, I get it. Drones are popular right now. You know, like I understand.
mean, are they even anymore?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. It's like one of those things where it's like, yeah.
Haven't we ended the commercial?
If
like
you
the
did that
consumer
in like
drone
2016,
phase?
then sure, cool. I get like that. Still would have been fucking annoying. Don't get me wrong, but it made more sense.
God, what kind of engine does that fucking drone have on it that it could withstand wind speeds near a tornado?
There's no point to it being there, but just to show people that
it's just to get like, oh, I got eyes in the sky.
Right.
And then at one point, Kate turns to the chick who runs the drone.
The chick who runs the
drone pilot. Yeah. She turns to her, she's like, yo, can you put some sensors on your drone? And she's like, yeah, I could do that.
She doesn't tell her what kind of sensors, what it's for.
How about like specific
like,
types of sensors? And oh yeah, these things drastically throw off the weight ratio of a drone. Do you know how a drone works?
That is bullshit.
It was just so dumb. It's just like,
you're just gonna rig
woman
up like,
to woman. Can you throw some sensors on this thing?
Yeah, I got you.
Girl,
I'll throw some sensors
you.
on there. I'll put all the sensors you want on there. What? Fucking drones in movies, they need to stop.
Yeah, fuck off.
Unless they're like military grade drones, or it's just some kid in his backyard flying a drone up to peep in his neighbor's window. That's like the best use of like a prosumer drone.
You can't use a drone, it's like a bullshit story device, which is like what all these movies are doing. That automatically takes a point off if there's like a fucking drone in it.
Fucking drone.
The film is entertaining and, you know, it's shot well, the effects are good. Aside from all of that, one other thing that I appreciated was the scene where you go to the rodeo, right? Which again was the coolest scene, but it's also cool because of this reason. They didn't make all the people at the rodeo seem like dumbass fucking middle America hicks.
Right,
like
it's just a rodeo.
They just seem like good people. Like it seemed like a good small town, and they didn't like demonize people that are from that part of the country. And like
Right.
that's like such a little thing, but nowadays it's just refreshing to see that.
Oh, look, here's like a rodeo just portrayed like people at a rodeo.
Yeah, because nowadays it's like anytime a filmmaker or these like fucking SJW writers get a chance, they just make anyone from Middle America like Trump supporting psychopaths.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like we got, it was tame because we had Joseph Krasinski on the writing team for this one, and he's pretty.
he might be a little bit.
Well, I think maybe he's just normal.
Exactly. He might. Well,
He doesn't even need to be based. He's just-
basically means normal
Yeah,
now.
he's
you
just
know
a
what I
normal
mean?
writer
Yeah. So
who doesn't alienate 50%
I
of his
appreciate
audience.
that. And then, like, after you hear what the director said about, I guess he was getting some criticism or whatever reason they were.
Why didn't you include
Why didn't you include
climate
climate change?
is the
Like-
reason these tornadoes are happening?
And he was just like, anything that's political, I don't think should be in the film. And like
Yeah,
that,
it's a fucking summer blockbuster.
but this
it's
is
a
like-
disaster movie.
because things are the way they are now.
Yeah.
Honestly,
got
I'm
shit for
surprised,
it.
but I'm surprised that it wasn't about climate change.
Yeah,
You know what I
but
mean?
you know what? This movie is going to make a ton of fucking money.
It is,
and I'm glad it's
because
going to.
I am too, and like none of that shit's in there, and that's
Yeah.
part of the reason why it's successful because it's not alienating.
It's not preaching anything.
It's not preaching, and it's not alienating people because of
Yeah.
preaching.
If you want to like think to yourself like, God, why are all these tornadoes popping up? Feel free to blame whatever you fucking want on it.
Sure.
But it's not in the movie.
Exactly.
And the director and the writer, they did not blame it on fucking climate change. It's just there's more tornadoes. Just like in '96, where oh my God, we got some weather conditions that are providing for bigger
Well,
tornadoes.
they mentioned
it's
like this is a once in a generation
yeah,
tornado storm.
It's not like something that's escalating over time.
Right.
It's like no, this is like a one
and if
done
you think about
thing,
it,
yeah.
in '96, that was the previous generation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Once in a generation thing.
Yes.
Great. Love it.
Cool. And I appreciated that. So the movie does get some points that makes up for the drone point with that, I guess.
Yeah, we lose for the drone, but we gain in terms of
Sure.
writing and directing.
Sure.
So, all right, in terms of ranking on this one, I got to hear your ranking first because I've been on the fence all day about my ranking.
I'm on the fence too, and like I don't know.
I'm putting you on the spot. I got to hear yours first.
Dude, it's fine. I'm gonna go with the 6.5 for this one.
Oh, that's exactly what I said. I was like, is this fucker gonna go 7?
My debate with myself was, do I make it a 6 or a 6.5?
Okay, mine was always 6.5, but I was thinking like 7 in terms of just, it does follow the beats of like, okay, yeah, this is like a summer blockbuster type movie. It just was lacking in terms of like the character like you
and
said, of the
personality.
original, but it didn't like delve into bullshit, like preachy shit, whatever. It had really great sequences, but it was just lacking in character a little bit.
Yeah, but you can go into it and just enjoy it as a summer movie.
Totally enjoyable.
you know,
Yeah,
but-
6.5 out of 10 might sound a little harsh, but I don't think it is. I think that's like, it's good.
Honestly, if it did have that character and personality to it,
Oh, it would have
given
been a
it
7, 7.5.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she's good. He's very good. They worked very well together, as we said. So it's good to see a movie that
See
where
it in the
like
theater. Check it out. It's worth seeing.
Yeah, but like the male and the female characters in the film have an attraction towards each other.
And it works well.
And it works well, and
Yeah.
so that's refreshing to see. It is kind of weird, though. I guess we can kind of get into this rainbow rating, but
Yeah.
there's just no like physical, like
No,
the
they
physicality of it.
don't get physical at all.
No, and like that's just kind of like
Just thinking back to the original, where like she's like in the car driving, and she's
he's gotta
like,
put the mic on
He's got to
her?
put the
No,
mic
but
on
yeah.
her, and you could just feel the tension
yes.
there.
Nowadays you shy away from that stuff, like physical.
I don't know why. If they had put that in, like, it would have just elevated the film even
It
more
would
in
have
terms of
elevated
that.
the film. It would have elevated the performances. It would have just made the chemistry a little bit better.
Yeah,
That's all I'm
I
saying.
get what you're saying. There,
Yeah, that's just a little bit annoying. So I guess that goes into the rainbow rating. That's part of it because
just the modern-
movies. That's
that's-
just because the male gaze, of course, and just
Yeah.
did he ask for consent? All that bullshit.
And then of course like her just taking charge at the end.
Oh, yeah.
And just like leaving the men behind. Not. It was like, well, come on. You've been like a group this whole movie. Like especially him and her. Not even counting Javi. Just Glenn Powell and her. I was expecting at least something, a resolution where they like tag teamed it together.
No,
So-
as the audience, we're there. We're with them. We want them to
Right, and
succeed.
he just
we
gets
want,
left
we want
behind and does
them
nothing.
to succeed,
Yeah.
not just her.
Right. So
was
that
a little
kind of
annoying.
annoyed me a little bit.
Yeah.
On the rainbow scale, I went 1.5.
Yeah, same here. 1.5.
The guy they're working for, the land baron,
Yeah, with the
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
what's
The bolo tie,
the bolo tie, yeah, of
the
course.
cowboy hat, yeah,
just like
yeah.
the stereotypical,
Mr. Texas,
stereotypical
yeah.
Texas like capitalist. Get the fuck out of here, so stupid.
Yeah, but it's not that. It's
No,
not
that-
over.
that's
you know.
the sort of messaging you'd see in a movie back in the 90s. You know what I mean?
and it's-
Whatever.
and we wouldn't
don't
have,
care.
We wouldn't have thought twice about it.
Don't
Yeah.
even give a shit. We're just paying attention to it because of
No,
how the
I'm-
diet we've been fed
Yeah.
with movies for the past 15
Dude,
years.
I'm just thrilled that summer blockbusters are a thing again. Ever since Maverick hit theaters, crushed, we're kind of getting back to it a little bit. So I think the more this film does well, the more we're going to see again.
Well, you see those videos, the woke era has ended, all that.
I mean,
Is that true? Maybe. I don't want, like, this. To me, it's a little premature to say that,
Yeah. I think we see the pendulum swinging.
I hope so.
Back a little bit,
That's what I hope.
Which is great.
Yeah.
I want to see more films like this.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that, it's a fucking legacy sequel from a film that came out in the 90s, whatever. It's a blockbuster. It's a
Yes.
summer blockbuster. It does a lot of shit right.
It's meant to just
Is it
have
perfect?
fun.
Of course not.
No.
But it's a fun movie. So I think more films like this need to happen, and people should go see it.